The Thought Robot. Commonly believed to be one of DC's biggest juggernauts in terms of raw physical strength, likes of which dwarf even the higher-up gods in the DC cosmology. With power that shatters the concepts of space and time, how strong truly is Cosmic Armor Superman? This is the question that I will attempt to be answering today. Now, this video will not just be addressing Kaz's full power, but also some of his hacks and some counter-arguments that I've heard against him. That all out of the way, we can finally get to actually scaling him. The way the robot actually works is it's piloted by both Superman and Ultraman's subconscious. Thought Robot was created by the Monitor race for the sole purpose of stopping the ultimate evil of DC, Mandrake. Now, in order for you to fully grasp how powerful Kaz is, we'll need to cover the DC cosmology. We will then need to determine where in said cosmology Kaz fits to determine and give you a solid idea of what he is doing in the story. And oh my god, is this video gonna be long. The red circle that you see before you is called the bleed. Now, the bleed goes all the way up to right here, the Speed Force wall on the map. Now, contrary to popular belief, the bleed actually houses an infinite amount of multiverses both here and here. Now, in regards to this portion of this scan, the 200,000 dimensions automatically qualify for hyperversal tiers of existence. Alright, here's where it gets crazy. We know that Caswell in the Monitor sphere viewed Limbo, the tier below it, as 2D or fictional. Now, this would mean that every layer above the Speed Force wall is a conceptual transcendence. One of these conceptual transcendences equaling Outerversal. Now, after just counting the layers of the hierarchy, the source wall is 13 layers into Outer. However, it's important to note that the events of Final Crisis do not take place within the source wall, but within DC's secret higher layer, the Overvoid. Now, to give you an idea of just how big the Overvoid is, the entire DC cosmology is an infinitesimal speck compared to the Overvoid's size. It is important to note that merely existing within the Overvoid does not mean that you can destroy it, and it does not scale you to it. So my job to you is to be able to scale Kaz to the Overvoid. Now, it is important to note that viewing a layering conceptual existence as an infinitesimal speck would qualify for high Outerversal levels of power. Now, Cosmic Armor Superman's divine metals were implanted within the Overvoid's flaw. The Overvoid's flaw is society, it is the multiverse, it is everything. Overvoid, despite a sea of perfection, cannot correct this flaw. So Kaz, being imbued with this flaw that the Overvoid, despite its vast power, cannot correct, would scale him to it, right? Well, yes, but there are still other ways to get him to the Overvoid. In Final Crisis, Cosmic Armor Superman is stated to be the essence of what it means to be Superman. His very story lives inside Kaz. The story of an unstoppable, irremovable good that will always save the day. Even Grant Morrison, the writer of Final Crisis, stated that Superman's story may as well be as real as any organic person in the real world. So now that I have scaled Kaz to the Overvoid, this would buy him high Outerversal levels of power. Now that his AP scaling is done, we can finally go over the big guy's hacks and abilities. It is outright stated that Cosmic Armor Superman can adapt to any incoming physical, mental, or spiritual threat. This is backed up by the fact that in Kaz's fight with Mandrake, he was constantly growing stronger as Mandrake was growing stronger to oppose him. However, Kaz's ability to overcome all odds stretches much further than just basic adaptation. As well, in his fight with Mandrake, felt the story reassembling itself so that he would lose 100% of the time. Despite the story literally being assembled so that he would lose 100% of the time, Kaz was still able to plunge Mandrake into the Overvoid and win. People will try and use this scan to say that Mandrake survived his fight with Kaz, and although yes he did, he was severely weakened, and he outright states in this scan that the fight almost killed him. Mandrake, despite surviving, was nowhere near the physical threat that he was to the DC multiverse. He was quite literally never the same again. So Cosmic Armor Superman is capable of overcoming literal impossible odds. This would buy Kaz the hacks known as Meta Miracle Manipulation, the ability to manipulate ultimate miracles. Now, another counter-argument that you could use is that this would only be probability manipulation for Kaz, where I'm going to explain why that isn't true. You see, for every probability created by probability manipulation, there is the possibility that the opposite will happen. If the story has assembled itself so that it will make Kaz lose 100% of the time, the possibility does not exist, meaning that he can't manipulate a probability that doesn't exist as well. Yet another counter-argument to go against Kaz's meta-miracle manipulation is that he quote-unquote died at the end of the comic. However, if you also read the comic, then you would know that Kaz is simply the product of Ultraman and Superman merging into one robot. So you should also know that Superman and Ultraman were separated from the robot after the story of Superman lived on and Kaz never technically died. People will try to rebuttal this by saying, oh, well, it was blatantly stated that the robot couldn't be repaired. However, you should also know that the Thought Robot's only purpose was to defeat Mandrak. When it lives out this purpose, it has no reason to be repaired. So once again, this buys Kaz meta-miracle manipulation. Now, to be able to manipulate the ultimate miracle and overcome literal impossible situations means that Kaz can win every fight that he is matched up with. So let's say, for instance, that we put this to the ultimate test, that we match Kaz up with someone that is 20 times more physically powerful than himself, that we take away his arms, we take away his legs, and he is just a head floating in the air. He would still find a way to win that battle. Now, this obviously begs the question, is Kaz the strongest in fiction? Well, not exactly. The reason why I say this is because there is still one more hack that is even stronger than meta-miracle manipulation, that being Metapotence, which directly translates to omnipotence. Metapotence features every single hacks within the book, including meta-miracle. Plus, other characters from other verses can also have meta-miracle manipulation as well. With the story of Superman, meta-miracle manipulation, and several others with a high outer AP scale, Cosmic Armor Superman would easily rank within the top 5 of DC's hierarchy, and within probably the top 10 of the whole of fiction. Now, I do hope that I did a good enough job explaining how powerful Kaz is and that you understand his ranking in fiction. And if I didn't do that, well, I don't know what to tell you. All jokes aside, thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.